You can swallow a vitamin D pill every single morning, faithfully, for 10 years, and still be deficient. Your blood test comes back low, and you cannot understand why, because you did everything right. The pill was never the problem. The way you were taking it was. I am Dr. Hale. In my 15 years in internal medicine, I have watched this play out over and over. Careful patients, disciplined patients, who never miss their vitamin D, sitting across from me with a lab result that says low, and they feel almost betrayed by it. They ask me the same question, "Doctor, I take it every day, how can I still be short?" The answer is that taking vitamin D and absorbing vitamin D are two very different things, and almost nobody explains the difference. Here is why this should matter to you, even if you feel fine. Vitamin D is not only about bones, though it is essential there. It helps your body pull in calcium to keep your skeleton strong and lower your risk of the fractures that can change an older person's life in an afternoon. It supports muscle strength and balance, which is part of not falling in the first place. And it plays a role in a healthy immune system. According to the National Institutes of Health Office of Dietary Supplements, a large share of adults come up short, especially in the darker months and as we age. And staying low is not something to shrug off in your 40s, 50s, or beyond. So in the next few minutes, I am going to give you the 5 reasons your vitamin D pill may be doing almost nothing, and how to fix each one. The mistake at number 3 is the one that surprises even some doctors, because it involves a completely different mineral. And stay to the end, because the 5th reason is not about whether the vitamin D gets in. It is about where it ends up once it does, and getting that wrong can quietly work against your heart. Let me start with what vitamin D actually is, because it changes how you think about that pill. Vitamin D is fat-soluble. That is the single most important word in this whole video. Fat-soluble means it dissolves in fat, not in water. Picture trying to mix oil into a glass of water. It just beads up and refuses to blend. Your vitamin D behaves the same way in your gut. Without some fat present at the same time, a good portion of that pill simply passes through you without ever getting absorbed into your bloodstream. This is not a fringe theory. The NIH Office of Dietary Supplements notes that vitamin D is best absorbed when taken with a meal or snack that contains some fat, and research has shown that taking it with a fat-containing meal can meaningfully increase how much actually gets in, compared to taking it on an empty stomach. Which brings us straight to reason number 1. Your pill is failing. You are taking it on an empty stomach or with a fat-free breakfast. Think of the person who takes their vitamin D first thing with black coffee, or with a bowl of plain cereal and skim milk, or squeezes it in during a fasting window. They are doing the discipline part perfectly, and quietly wasting a chunk of the dose. The fix costs you nothing. Take your vitamin D with the meal of the day that has the most fat in it. Eggs, avocado, olive oil, nuts, fish, a little full-fat yogurt, even a spoonful of peanut butter. The fat is the escort that walks the vitamin D through the door. No escort, no entry. Reason number 2. Your gut and your skin are simply not what they were at 30, and that is normal. 2 things change as we age. First, your skin loses much of its ability to make vitamin D from sunlight. The Office of Dietary Supplements points out that older skin produces far less vitamin D from the same amount of sun than young skin does. So the natural factory slows down right when you need it. Second, your gut can absorb nutrients a little less efficiently over the years. So the older you get, the more both of your main supply lines, sun and food, quietly narrow at the same time. This is not a reason to panic. It is a reason to be more deliberate about the pill and about how you take it, not less. Now reason number 3, the one that surprises even some doctors. Your vitamin D needs magnesium to switch on. Here is the part almost nobody tells you. The vitamin D in your pill is not the active form your body uses. It is more like a raw material that has to be converted, in two steps, first in your liver and then in your kidneys, into the active hormone that actually does the work. And the enzymes that carry out those conversion steps depend on magnesium to function. Researchers have described magnesium as a required helper in vitamin D metabolism, and studies have suggested that when magnesium is low, vitamin D cannot be properly activated, so it can sit in your blood in its inactive form doing very little. Picture it this way. Your vitamin D pill is a key blank. Magnesium is the locksmith who cuts the key so it can actually turn the lock. Without the locksmith, you are carrying around a key that opens nothing, and here is the quiet trap. Many of the same people who are low in vitamin D are also low in magnesium, which I covered in an earlier video, so they are fighting the battle with one hand tied behind their back. If you fixed one and ignored the other, this may be your missing piece. Reason number 4. The dose and the timing are working against you. Some people take a tiny dose that was never enough for their body and their starting point. Others take a big weekly or monthly dose, but take it with a fat-free meal, so absorption is poor and inconsistent. And some take it at night, which is fine for absorption, but is when they are least likely to eat a real meal with fat. The point is not to chase a giant number. The point is consistency plus fat. A sensible daily dose, taken with your fattiest meal, day after day, will almost always serve you better than a heroic dose taken in a way your body cannot use. And do not judge it after a week. Vitamin D levels climb slowly. Give an honest change a couple of months before you retest. Let me stop here for one moment, because you have earned the most important reason, and this is the right time. If this is finally making sense of something that has frustrated you for years, take 1 second and subscribe to Dr. Hale, and tell me in the comments how old you are, because the age of the people watching genuinely shapes what I cover next. All right. Here is the reason nobody talks about. Reason number 5. This one is not about whether the vitamin D gets absorbed. It is about where it sends your calcium once it does. Here is the mechanism. One of vitamin D's main jobs is to help you absorb calcium from your food. Good. But vitamin D does not decide where that calcium goes. You want that calcium going into your bones. What you do not want is calcium settling into the walls of your arteries, where over the years it can stiffen them. This is where another nutrient enters the story, vitamin K2. Think of vitamin K2 as the traffic cop for calcium. It activates the proteins that wave calcium into your bones and steer it away from your arteries. Researchers have studied this partnership closely, and the general finding is that vitamin D and vitamin K work as a team, one bringing the calcium in, the other directing where it parks. Now let me be honest and careful here, because this channel is built on honesty. This is an area of active research, not a settled prescription, and I am not telling you to run out and megadose anything. What I am telling you is that pouring in high-dose vitamin D for years while ignoring the traffic direction is not the whole picture. If you take vitamin D, this is a genuinely good conversation to have with your doctor, especially if you also take calcium. And that word megadose deserves a warning, because the internet loves a big number. More vitamin D is not automatically better. Because it is fat-soluble, it is stored in your body rather than flushed out like the water-soluble vitamins, so it can build up. Taking very high doses on your own, without testing and without a doctor watching, can push your calcium too high, and that can make you sick. So the goal here was never a bigger pill. It was a pill that actually works. Before the patient story, let me clear up 2 myths that keep people stuck, because honest correction is what this channel is for. The first myth is that a little sunshine takes care of it, so the pill barely matters. For a young person in summer, maybe. But we already covered that older skin makes far less vitamin D from the same sun, and if you live in the northern half of the country, there are months where the sunlight is simply too weak to make much at all, no matter how long you stand in it. Add sunscreen, which you should wear, and clothing, and time indoors, and the sun becomes an unreliable supplier for most adults over 40. So no, a walk on a bright day is not a substitute for getting this right. The second myth is the opposite extreme, the belief that if a little is good, a lot must be better, so people buy the biggest number on the shelf and take it like candy. I will come back to why that is a real risk, but hold this thought. With a fat-soluble vitamin that your body stores, more is not a bonus, it is a gamble. The people who do best with vitamin D are almost never the ones taking the most. They are the ones taking a sensible amount in a way their body can actually use. Now let me tell you about a patient. I will call her Ellen, and she is a composite of many people I have seen. 67 years old, sharp, organized, the kind of person who keeps her supplements in a labeled weekly box. She had been taking vitamin D every morning for 6 years with her coffee, before her light fat-free breakfast, proud of never missing a day. Her level came back low every single time, and she was ready to give up on it entirely, convinced her body was just broken. Nothing about Ellen was broken. She was taking a fat-soluble vitamin with no fat, first thing, and she was also running low on magnesium, so even the little she absorbed was struggling to activate. She moved the pill to her lunch, which had eggs and avocado, and she addressed her magnesium. A few months later, for the first time in 6 years, her level was where it should be. Same vitamin. Same discipline. 2 small corrections. And do not forget that food can carry some of this load, and it comes with its fat already built in, which is a nice bonus. The NIH Office of Dietary Supplements notes that very few foods naturally contain vitamin D, but a handful are real sources. Fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines are the standouts. Egg yolks contribute a little. Many milks and some other products are fortified with it on purpose. None of these will single-handedly fix a deep deficiency, but they help, and they arrive already dissolved in the fat your body needs to absorb them, which is the whole lesson of this video working for you automatically. A piece of salmon is nature packaging the vitamin and the escort together in one bite. So here is what to do this week. 1. Move your vitamin D to the fattiest meal of your day. Eggs, avocado, olive oil, nuts, fish, full-fat yogurt. This one change alone fixes the most common mistake. 2. Look at your magnesium. If you are low, vitamin D cannot fully switch on. Food first, leafy greens, seeds, nuts, beans, and a sensible supplement only if it fits you and your kidneys. 3. Be consistent and be patient. A steady daily dose taken with fat beats a giant dose taken poorly. Retest after a couple of months, not a couple of weeks. 4. Before you go high dose, talk to your doctor and bring up vitamin K2 and calcium while you are there, so the calcium you absorb goes to your bones and not your arteries. Now, one clear line before we finish, because it matters. Everything here is education, not a prescription, and it is not a substitute for your own doctor. I do not know your level, your kidneys, or your other medicines. Vitamin D is powerful, and the right dose is a personal number best set with a blood test and a professional. And there are signs that are never a supplement matter. If you feel confused, unusually weak, deeply nauseated, or you are urinating constantly and desperately thirsty, those can be signs of calcium running too high, and that is a call to a doctor, not something to sort out on your own. Some of that is a call today. Whether you are 45 or 75, you are never too early and never too late to get this right. The version of you 10 years from now, still strong on your feet, still steady on the stairs, will be grateful you stopped wasting the pill and started making it count. And here is the thread I want to leave you with. We have talked about a mineral your body runs low on, the foods that overload your kidneys, and now the vitamin that will not work unless you take it right. But there is a everyday habit, one that most people over 40 do without a second thought, that quietly drains your body of several of these nutrients at once. It is sitting in millions of medicine cabinets right now, and it is completely legal and common. In my next video, I am going to tell you what it is and how to protect yourself. Subscribe so it lands in front of you.